jails are using a kinder approach to solitary confinement. Let me set the stage real quick with an article that came out about a week ago about how California and a few other jails across the country are using a kinder approach. An inmate in solitary confinement in Sacramento, California, was refusing to leave his cell. The jailers, this is quoting from the article, so it's not me, the jailer's usual response: send an extraction team of corrections officers to burst into the cell and drag him out. So, instead, the inmate was asked, what if we gave you a couple of extra cookies and a sandwich? Would you move? And the inmate said, yes, I'll move for that. And the prison law office negotiator that is had set up these new type of policies for these type of things was very pleased with the implementation of his new policy. Now, I am not for abusing inmates. Anybody that watches this channel knows that. Abusing inmates causes you loss of job, criminal charges, all that. I am happy when we see an inmate make it out and do good on the outside, okay? But I think the system is being manipulated when we go this far. My opinion only. Do you think the same? And who's manipulating the system? You know, we learn about inmate manipulation all the time. How inmates will manipulate us. Now, are some of our jails across the country being manipulated by outside influence? You know, that's just a question that each and every one of us would have to answer in our own mind. So let's discuss these new policies from the prison law office negotiator, who is, maybe that's going to be a new title that's going to be coming up all over the country. Prison law office negotiator. Okay, folks, this is True Prison Stories. Please subscribe if you like this video. And I will be using this article in my hand here and there because I don't want to misquote anything. I don't want to be accused of not stating it properly. And again, this is a news media report. How accurate is that? But apparently this new method is being used. Now, I've worked a little over half my career in the state prison system, and I worked my last 13 years in the jail system. Now, let me just talk about giving inmates food to do what they're supposed to do anyway, okay? I understand that they're very happy they didn't have to have a cell extraction team come in. No bumps, no bruises, no injuries. Well, that's a good thing. But here is what happens for the people working on the floor of the jails, in my opinion. I remember when I started at the jail. I came from the state prison, started at the jail, and I would observe some officers giving extra food trays to inmates. And oh yeah, we do it all the time. We do it all the time. You know, they clean up, they work hard, we give them extra food trays. So I'm new at the jail, but not new to the business. I'm guilty. I tried it once, and here's what happened to me. I gave a team of 4 inmates that cleaned up the dorm, and very well, an extra tray. Hey, trustees, put 4 extra trays over in the corner. Well, oh my gosh, I never want to do it again. They bombarded me the next meal. Inmates gathered all around when I went in to do the dorm count. Hey, let us four do the next clean. Well, let us 4 do the next clean. And it was just turning into a circus. Because you see what happens, you give 1, 2, 3, or 4 inmates one thing, they all want it. And have you ever heard the term, you know, when you have a group of people, if you don't have enough cookies for everybody, then don't give them out at all. You know, or don't come in here unless you have enough for everybody. Well, see, I have a feeling this is what this is going to turn into. Another thing we learned is inmate manipulation, you know. Give me this and I'll do this for you. Or I don't want to do this, I don't feel like sweeping, but give me an extra tray and I'll sweep. You know, and you have to get away from that totally, or you're going to be bombarded with all the inmates wanting this. So, in my opinion, this inmate is going to get his sandwich and 2 cookies because now he'll move out of his isolation cell or confinement cell after he heard he's going to get 2 cookies and a sandwich. So he gets moved, and the inmates go, "Hey man, why are you being moved?" "I wasn't going to move for those, sorry, blah, 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 but you know what? They gave me a sandwich and 2 cookies, so then I moved." Everybody in the jail is going to hear this story. Well, now it's out on the news, so now everybody's going to hear it. And now all the other inmates, what are they going to do? "I'm not moving until I get my sandwich and cookies like he did." Or what if one inmate says, "Yes, I'll move," and he moves? Now he doesn't get any sandwiches and cookies because he did what he's supposed to do. Look, I'm not a psychologist, folks. Is this rewarding system good? Is it going to work? I see it cause trouble down the road. I'm sure this negotiator is very pleased with his new policy that it worked with this one particular inmate. Well, how many of you know inmates that aren't going to give a darn about 2 cookies and an extra sandwich? You know? And they're still going to act out. Or they're going to get their sandwich and cookies, move, and then act out later on. Within 8 hours, you know, all that reward of cookies and sandwiches is forgotten by many. How soon they forget and go back to being rude again. Now, I understand that jails have a lot of inmates that have not been sentenced yet. They've not been to court to receive either a jail sentence, probation, or prison sentence. I understand that. You know, and how did they end up in solitary confinement like this inmate? Well, they probably acted out. They got in a fight. Maybe they smuggled drugs in. So now we're going to reward them with cookies and milk. Again, let me say, I am not for inmate abuse. It gets you in trouble. It gets you fired. It gets you put on the evening news. But, I mean, we have to have some type of respect for, maybe it doesn't have to be for the officer, but for the system and the rules. And I don't know if giving cookies and sandwiches to get these inmates to do what you want them to do is going to gain us any respect. I think the inmates are laughing behind our backs right now. Now, again, a food service, I know working in a jail, the food service is like, "What? You need extra trays? You got 90 inmates and I sent you 91 trays just in case you needed an extra or we miscounted. What do you need now? You need sandwiches and cookies, you know?" So I guess if we're going to start to implement this across the country, we need to have food service always have on hand a ton of cookies and sandwiches, because we're going to have a lot of inmates that need to be rewarded. Now, New Jersey's Middlesex County Adult Correction Center has lowered the numbers of isolated inmates, and Santa Clara County, California, once locked a woman in solitary confinement for 2.5 years for talking back to correctional officers or yelling and banging on her cell door with detainees. Now, there's a lawsuit going on with that. If that happened, I don't agree with that at all. I don't know why that's in here with the cookies and sandwich article, but I guess they're trying to show in the article also that they're trying to cut the time of solitary confinement way down. Okay? So, if they can do that without rewarding inmates or luring them with food, I still call it manipulation, see, because if I'm just working my dorm alone and an inmate talks me into giving them a piece of candy that's mine or a piece of gum out of my pocket or anything, I've been manipulated. That's the way we've been taught and taught and taught. And have we been manipulated if we start doing this? That's my main question here. Is the system being manipulated by outside influence? And will this be a good thing or a bad thing for the officers working the floor? Okay, I know all you people that are for prison reform, I understand that. And I understand that it's not a bad thing to try to help inmates succeed, do their time, get out and succeed. I've always been one to say they also need to be willing to succeed and be willing to change their life around as well. So, with all that said, by getting inmates to follow the rules with cookies and sandwiches, Are we being manipulated? That's my question for today. Please let us know at the bottom of this video. I understand that they want jail employees to work hard to get inmates out of segregation as quickly as possible, often using a system in which inmates agree in writing not to assault each other. Case by case, I would say that would be okay, case by case. Those of us that work the floor know we have some very violent inmates that will hurt an officer, hurt another inmate. That's another topic altogether. My topic today is rewarding inmates with food and cookies and things like that to do what they're supposed to do. There's a whole other issue on this segregation and the use of confinement. One inmate refused to leave solitary confinement because he had testified against other gang members, recalled a captain who was coordinating this new program. Well, the captain probably got assigned that program and has to go with the flow. So, I don't know. I don't know the captain. This is in California. But anyway, that is another issue that a lot of people don't understand on the outside. This inmate knows if he leaves solitary confinement, he could be killed by gang members. That's why we use it also to protect inmates from harm. Another video could be done on that alone. The captain saw other longtime inmates leaving segregation and eventually agreeing to try the new system. Rather than putting them out in the open population immediately, deputies put them in with a single inmate, then maybe 2 other inmates, and then 4 and so on until they saw they adapted. I think that's okay on a case-by-case issue again. And hopefully classification and the captain and people in charge of these new programs are doing this case by case, because the folks on the outside don't realize how many cannot succeed no matter how hard we try. We can give it a try, but I'm afraid some of them are still going to harm people. But anyway, I'm all for making things better for the staff, for the inmates. I just don't know about the reward of cookies and sandwiches to do what you're supposed to do. I think we can do this in other ways. Now, I do know that some jails, not the jail I worked at, and not another jail that I'm aware of adjacent to us, but I know one county adjacent to me here in Florida does one thing. They'll have all the dorms keep their dormitories clean all week long, and the cleanest dorm gets pizza night. So the inmates have remained good. It's also behavior issues too. Behavior issues, cleanliness. They went through the whole week with no behavior issues. They kept their dorms clean, and the dorm that wins gets pizza night. And they bring pizzas in for all the inmates in that dorm. Now that has gone on for a long time, folks. That's gone on for years before this ever came out. So I'll throw that one in there at you. What do you think about that? Same thing. You're rewarding them with pizza to do what they're supposed to do anyway. I need your opinions out there, folks. Let me know. I'll stop there. I think I got my point across. Let me know what your thoughts are on these new policies. I think Cook County Jail is looking at this policy, or already started as well. I thought that was in the article. So, it's starting to spread. Let me know what you think. And I appreciate your comments. And please subscribe. True Prison Stories, Gary York.